What's up, everybody? Welcome to South Beach Strategy. Today, we're on location at beautiful South Beach Marina. We got one of our sponsors in the building, Bib Nutrition, the CEO, Beezo Fitness, right here to join us. What's up, Beezo?
What's good? What's good?
How's everything today?
Man, everything lovely, man. Beautiful day in Miami. Couldn't ask for anything better. Here with my best friend, you know it's all good.
If you don't know about Bib Nutrition and you're not taking the pre-workout, let me just tell you right now, you're missing out on about 40% of your maximum potential. The Bib is what gets you to 100%. When I meet people on the street and they tell me they're not taking the Bib, I already in my head automatically know that this person doesn't go hard. I don't care what they tell me they do. I already know because the potential is unlocked by the ingredients in the supplement, which are all organic, FDA approved, and it just gives you the best source of energy to help you maximize your potential. And the other day I was watching a podcast and these guys were talking about how in the 80s they were taking pre-workouts with all kinds of chemicals in them and they were like proud of this and I don't know why. What do you think that was about, Beezo?
Man, I think it was just a lack of education back then. You know, education and what we know now from back then, from training, the anatomy, the body has grown so much to the point to where what they normalized back then was insane. You know, but we've learned a lot. We've educated ourselves. We know a lot. You know, I personally have done my due diligence and studying, you know, everything that I need to know to put out the best product that I can.
What is the difference between Bib pre-workout and all the other pre-workouts?
I think it's the caffeine and the combination of ingredients. Because say, for example, the best way I can put it without making the conversation too convoluted or too in-depth, you can add a pinch of salt and pepper and garlic to a 10-gallon pot and it wouldn't make a difference. But you will need 4 or 5 tablespoons to a 10-gallon pot to actually taste the difference. And that's the difference. A lot of these companies, they claim, okay, we have caffeine, we have ephedrine, we have this, we have that, we have L-arginine. You know, they claim, and they do. So by FDA standards, they do have an amount in there that they can legally say they do have it in there. But is it enough to make a significant difference in it and in your performance? And that's where the education come in, understanding how much you actually need per ingredient to actually make the supplement effective.
And what makes Beezo Fitness qualified to tell people what's good and what's not good?
Well, besides the fact that I'm a certified master trainer, certified elite trainer, I have a degree in kinesiology. You know, I have years of just training myself and other people. I think my reputation speaks for itself.
So listen, people, if you're talking to someone about fitness and this is not the way that they respond and they just go, well, we just do it because we do it. That's what's the difference. The source matters. You can get information from all kinds of places. If you look on Instagram, you'll find somebody that says that they know a guy that shoots angel out of his butt, but it's not real because the source is no good. So the source is everything, right, Beezo?
Absolutely, absolutely. You always have to look at who's giving you information. Then you have to look and then people have to look like what they're selling. You know, you have to look like a product of what you're actually putting on the market. There's no such thing as a out of shape personal trainer. I don't care how much education you have. It's either two things are happening there or both things. Either you only understand that information verbatim from the book and you don't know how to actually apply it, or you don't believe in the information that you're spitting out. But there's no way that you can say, hey, look, do this, and that, and you're not a representation of that. And that goes in any field.
And I think that that's something that can be common because the body's so complex, you know? Yep. So you can get a guy who has the best intentions, studies, learns the book, knows how to repeat and write down answers, gets his certifications and stuff. But if he doesn't understand how those things all work together and the complexity of the body, that's where they might be suffering. And I think if they're not willing to learn, that for me is like the
defining factor. Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, people always say, you know, there's different bodies. Yeah, that's why they have different genotypes. That's why they have ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. That's why they have those different body types, so you can understand how people respond to different calorie variables, you know, and without understanding that and without understanding that body movement and all those other things that you have to do a deep dive in, not understanding, hey, yeah, if you lift weights, you will burn burn more calories, yeah, but if that person doesn't even know how to move their body in a linear or curved linear motion, those weights are invaluable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, the tools are good. You know what I'm saying? If you know how to use those tools properly, those creating just body movement, calorie based movements that target large muscle groups are basically the ABCs of
Right.
circuit training. You
Yes.
know, but there are other things that you can do, you know what I'm saying? And during the course of that, you can see different movements that clients need to do, and that's the only way to personalize it, you know, because every body's, you know, their body type, their genotype, everything is different.
So Beezo, is there like a cookie cutter way to fitness?
No, it's no, it isn't. But there are methods that you can do that can be suitable and help everybody. You know, there's no way to personalize a workout for a group of people except personalize that workout for that specific person, because everybody's lever length is different, their torso length is different, their gait pattern is different, the way they move their body. Women that after birth, their Q angle changes. So there's a lot of different things that takes place physically, even with age. Different things that can, things like kyphosis, or hyperextension of the hips or the pelvic area that affect the way people move. But there are things that you can do, like say, for example, with circuit training, target large muscle groups, upper and lower body movements, you know what I'm saying? The lats, the pecs, the quads, the glutes, that target those large muscle groups that will help burn fat and will help for large groups.
Man, so then you said there was ring a bell. So like the anatomy of a person makes a difference?
Absolutely, absolutely. Their somatotype, which is their body type plus their environment, the type of foods they take in, all that stuff, their sleep patterns, all those things take an effect on how their body will reap the benefits of that style of training. And like I say, even the way they warm up, even the way they stretch. Even basic things like it's mind blowing to me that people still stretch pre-workout, instead of post-workout, but that's something they've always seen people do, so they're it's embedded in their mind, but that's not what stretching is for. Stretching is a post-workout routine. But there's so many things that, that social media and other trainers, it makes it convoluted, it makes the information, so people are like scattered all over the place. So people tend to sway with what's popular, or they just try to find somewhere they fit in.
Yeah, I swear you can go on Instagram and find somebody that says anything.
Anything.
What do you tell the average person when they see this kind of information? Should they run with it and try it?
A lot of times when I speak, I always tell people, now do your due diligence, and now go back and look up or study or find information that validates everything I said, because not only will it bring validity to me, but it will boost your confidence in the things that I'm saying, and you'll be more compliant to the things that I'm saying. So when we're going along with the training, but when it comes to stuff like that, when it starts to sound absurd, or when it starts to sound too good to be true, we're going to do this in 6 months. We're going to do this in 90 days. We're going to do this in 30 days. You already know, but that appeals to the microwave results that people want. They want to hear those things, so it's appealing to them, but in truth, it's impossible. Even if you get somebody to cut calories to that extent and they do get results, you know what I'm saying? These aren't results that they can maintain for the longevity of their life. Even certain body movements. I see people. They'll have people lift weights that can't even do a proper body squat, can't even do an upper body movement right. Their linear motions are. I'm like, they need to learn how to do the ABCs first. And I think that skipping um, the normal body weight movements, it's like jumping to the middle of the alphabet, and it's inevitable that it always leads to an injury later on down the line. Yeah, you can get by with it for a little bit and maybe burn a little bit of fat in the process, but it's inevitable that that skipping of the ABCs, the fundamentals, understanding how to move the body properly, will catch up with a person later on. And that's why you see them with the lower back injuries and the knee injuries and the shoulder injuries and so forth.
Well, this is not a fitness podcast, so we are not going to give you all the sauce here for free. If you want more sauce, you got to go to Beezo's page, where he drops this knowledge every fucking day. You can go to the Bib Nutrition page, get some more knowledge. But before we go into what this podcast is really about, I guess I have one more fitness question, and this is important for me because for my friends that are overweight, that I see that never train, they've never done anything. The number one mistake that I see that they make, and I would like for you to give them a piece of advice, because maybe I'm not giving them the right advice. They all seem to want to like wake up one day and go balls to the wall with it when they've never done anything. Is that the approach that someone who hasn't been doing anything from a fitness routine to a nutrition routine, is that how they should approach it?
Absolutely not. Start slow. Start slow. I always tell people, and even with former athletes or people who've laid off 10, 15 years, they try to get back to where they were before. No, start slow. I always tell people start with walking. They don't want to hear that, you know what I'm saying? Because that little bit of motivation and enthusiasm is fleeting. So you want to try to catch them right when they're doing it. And that's when a lot of times they'll get to sign up for the class, but that's not the way. I always tell people, give yourselves, because this is going to take a while to really get in shape, and they don't like to hear that. But I say, give yourselves 30 days of just straight walking. Start to create a habit of just walking. Walking, give yourself a little distance. Say, okay, my goal is a mile by the end of the 30 days, or 2 miles, or 3 miles, or whatever. But start walking. Just say 30 days, I'm going to consistently get up and walk for 5 or 6 days straight. Consistently do that. Then you say, okay, the next 30 days, I'm going to do jogging and maybe a little bit of jumping jacks or body squats, something light, but start slowly but surely, but getting those large muscle groups involved, but just start slow. And that's what derails a lot of people progress. They try to start too fast. They jump into it head first. They get an injury, and then now they're back depressed. Now they're back to where they were before.
They quit.
They quit.
And I think trainers also make the same mistake, and it's bad for their business because they'll wreck the client so fast. And then that guy just is destroyed. You know what I mean? A guy hasn't done anything, and they're doing deadlifts or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just like this guy, after like a week, he can't move.
Exactly. And I think that's what it is. Like, certain clients, you might have them, this exercise right here, they can't do what the rest of the group do, but you identify that, yeah, this person is clearly way out of shape compared to the rest of your class. Jog in place. You jog in place right here. Right here, I want you to do toe touches. Right here, I want you to do jumping jacks, in opposed to the other exercises, But that's the thing. I think that's the number one thing that I see that derails people, just like you said, that they try to go too quick. They starve themselves because they want to I'm just going to eat 1 cup of air and 3 good grass clippings and 4 green beans. Or nah, and that's the thing.
Yeah, they try to crash them out on the diet and the workout so fast. This motherfucker's gonna last a week.
Too quick. And even with me, I don't even enforce the diet, that first 30, 60, 90 days or whatever. First thing I tell them, look, no fried foods, no sodas, no sugary drinks. I don't deprive them, because then because this is such a large part of a person's life that has gotten overweight.
Right.
It's comfort to them.
Yes.
You try to deprive them of that, they'll start to despise you for it, and then it'll feel more task orientated instead of something that's good, that's going to be benefiting them. So I just say no fried foods, no sodas. We're not going to go to a diet at first. Just cut out some of the cookies and cakes. If you like a candy bar here and there, or if you like this, that, I'm not going to deprive you at first. I want to slowly extract that stuff from your diet. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to go balls to the walls like you said, because then they'll stop. They'll stop.
Small goals.
Small. Nothing happens overnight when it comes by way of your body,
So guys, we're going to move on to the next portion of this interview, which is the entrepreneur part of this. Beezo, you didn't wake up knowing all this shit.
Yeah. No.
So tell everybody, what is your fitness background from youth?
I've always boxed. I always played football. Back when we were coming up, we didn't stay in a room playing video games. You had to get out the house. But we enjoyed getting out the house. You couldn't wait to wake up and get out the house, especially on the weekends, even after school. So we always prided ourselves. And then I think the generation is just totally different. They like video games. They like other stuff. Coming up, we were always in the sports. We were always and it was really an anomaly, an enigma to see an overweight person back then, because a lot of people didn't have transportation. People walked everywhere. We walked around our neighborhood. We got in little scuffles. We played football, everything we can do. So I think just generationally it's just totally different,
So you're playing a lot of sports. You're active as youth. When did you first get in the gym?
Well, we always did. Boxing and football, you always had a gym. You always had structure. And I knew that even outside of working out, that every successful person I seen had a structured program. It was impossible. I don't think that nobody can be structured and be successful and vice versa, you know. So I've always saw that. So being in the gym and just working out, me training people was never the agenda. That happened when I went to prison, you know, because I never considered myself I never considered myself a type the type of person like, you know, I would just like a recluse or something. Like I would stay to myself, but I'm not such a people person either. You know what I'm saying? But because I played sports and because I was popular in the other things that I did in the streets, people naturally gravitated toward me, and that carried on to when I went to prison, you know, because I didn't know anything about, you know, the science of working out until I dove into it in prison. Because in there, you can't tell me anything. I didn't want to hear, oh, just do push-ups. We're just gonna do 100 push-ups and we're just gonna do this. Why? Like, why? What does that work? They work all this. Like, what is that muscle called? Like I needed information, and I knew no, I can't do this. I have to know for myself. And what I found that when in the feds, that, you know, you're dealing with guys who were bosses in their own right. Whether that bubble was this big or this big, they were intelligent people. They were smart people. So you just can't tell them anything. And that's what a lot of people gravitated to me for. It was for the information, because people love to learn. People absolutely love new information, learning. People absolutely love to learn. And I found that that's just one thing that never changes.
So you felt like early on the structure might have been also a reason for the socialism, because when you're focused on what you're doing, I mean, how much time do you really have to socialize and fuck around? You know what I mean? Like that's just a part of your small part of the routine.
Exactly.
So structure is where you would start?
Absolutely. And structure builds discipline, because if you say, hey, look, I'm going to do this every day, and then not only that, it makes people around, it adjusts your environment. Your environment will change to you. People will say, hey, I was going to call you, but I knew you was working out at this time. People who don't have that structure and discipline, they'll get a call in the middle of the workout.
Yeah.
They don't know you're working out. Yeah, but they know you don't even respect the workout.
Yeah.
They know that they can tell you, oh, you're going to work out this weekend? Yeah. Oh, man, just skip it. You work out hard enough. You can come, you go another time. Yeah. And they know you're a fold.
Yeah.
They know they can't do that with me or another disciplined person. They'll wait. Hey, I knew you was going to work out this weekend, so do you want to do something after this time? You know, because they know your discipline. They know your structure. They know your routine. And that's what it is.
So you're out there doing push-ups with someone. You're asking them why we're doing it. They don't know why you're doing it. You're like, well, I got to understand. What was the first thing you did?
I read. And I'm going to tell you something. The first book I read that didn't have anything to fitness that changed my life was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I'm going to tell you something. That opened my eyes to everything, to perception, to how you value things, how you perceive things. Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed my life. And then it made me go say, why am I doing this and not taking anything that I'm doing serious? Because this is time we'll never get back. We'll never get this back. You know, so I had to make the most out of my time. That's why I constantly read. That's why I wrote the books that I wrote. That's why I did the training the way I did, you know, and that's why I structured the classes the way I did.
Everybody that sits in your chair, most of the guys also, they read that book.
Yeah, that changed my life. That absolutely changed the perspective on how I viewed things. So
you started reading, you picked up the book, and so what's the next step in?
I ordered like 10 other books right after that. I ordered 48 Laws of Power. I ordered The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I ordered Nutrition and Anatomy. I ordered a book about kinesiology. And then after that, I was like, I'm getting my degree. You know, I had credits prior to me going in. I finished up my degree, finished it up in kinesiology. Then I got a business management degree. And it was just learning, just constantly learning. And then I was like, write a book. Because so many people were asking me, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And the first book I actually wrote was just too much information. People didn't want it. You know, they didn't really like it.
What was the name of the first book?
It was just Brian Beverly. and then I stopped, and then I did Absolutely Simple by Brian Beverly.
Yes, I have that one.
Yeah, so, and then that was more just broken down, do this with the pictures, it was illustration, and it was
very
that,
simple.
You know, yeah, very simple. Now I hate that book, but you know.
Because your thought process changed?
Absolutely. When your thought process changed with information, because Darwin, one of my favorite quotes, well, one of the two. It was a quote by Darwin. He said, "Learning is a survival technique in an ever-changing environment." So in order to learn, in order to keep growing in your environment, to succeed, you have to constantly learn. It's with anything. You see a rapper, say for example, and this is not at any rapper. I'm just using this. I don't need a diss track against me. But you'll see a rapper that was hot in the 80s. He come back in 2026 and he talking some hip hop, bro. They don't rap like that no more. That might have been good. Change with the times. You have to change the way you think about stuff. You can still go your same destination, but you may have to go a different route. And that's what it is. Learning constantly changes the way you perceive things, and it makes you aware of your environment.
So along this path, there had to have been challenges and struggles along the way. What was your biggest challenge?
To be honest, nothing was bigger than going to prison, so everything was light to me. That's why I approach business. That's why I approach things so fearlessly. People think, what more could happen to me than going to prison for 15 years? So after that, everything seemed easy. So even when you see people say, I'm like, why don't you start? What's the most can happen? You losing a little investment, and that I think action, speed takes precedence over everything. By the time a person thinks they're waiting on a perfect storm to start something, I've already started it, figured out, hey, this route doesn't work, this route did work, and I've already executed so many different variables of that to where it has become successful. So I think inaction kills a lot of people, and that was totally off topic, but that goes back to that.
I think that's right on point. And then someone getting whacked over the head with 15 years is a situation that most people it'll break them.
Yeah.
So when you have that challenge and you're going into that, you're just starting that road.
Yeah.
What was your mentality?
I knew what I signed up for. It was different. It's different now. You guys go in there and my kids and this guy messing with my baby mom, I'm going to tell her. I didn't have that mentality because I knew the consequences. I knew that I could be unalived. I can unalive somebody. I can get a lot of time. I knew the different outcomes of that. Only an idiot thinks, I'm going to do this forever. Nothing is going to happen. I knew because I knew smart people that were doing it too, and that got caught up.
Yeah.
So I knew that once you're dealing with outside entities, you can control what you do, but unless I could sell it to myself and back to myself, I knew that there were other things that could take place in it. So I knew what I signed up for. So once it happened, I was like, all right, let's get it.
You take it in the face, and then you say, like, I'm gonna turn this thing around.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once I walked in the TV room and I saw the same guys in the TV room every day, all day, eating nachos and watching the same shows, I was like, oh, absolutely not. Because you coming out, you're already behind. I had guys in there still telling me business ideas about phone booths.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no phone booths anymore, but they're stuck.
Yeah.
So I knew that the only challenge I would have was the technology challenge, and you learn that quick.
Yes.
You learn how to kind of navigate, understanding social media, understanding how to operate in different, realms of that. I knew that was going to be an obstacle for me. But understanding that, I educated myself as much as I could to give myself the best advantage because I knew I was going to be at a disadvantage, when I came home.
So right now, pillars of success, we have having a schedule, having a routine. That's was number
Absolutely.
one. Education, number two. And then what would be the next attribute?
If people hold on to people, I'm gonna tell you something. It's not about outgrowing. People say, you outgrow them and stuff like that. Well, yeah, you were once that person too. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, and then I don't want to sound cliche and say everybody's gonna be suited for your journey, but I'm going to say this. It is going to be in a total. Say, for instance, when women say there's no more good men. Yeah, you're looking for the guys in the club. What you think they're there for? You know what I'm saying? They're going to tell you whatever they got to tell you to smash and go. But if you were meeting guys at business conventions, the gym, the park, fishing, family outings, you will see there's good guys out here, and vice versa. The same guys that complain about women. Yeah, you're meeting women in a club that are in the club every single week. Their stories is full of club clips. What do you think they are? You know what I'm saying? But you're not meeting women who are doing a walk, women at work, women at business convention, women reading their Kindles. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what book are you reading? They're not, and that goes to that. I think that people can have.
Are you saying that women can't meet the love of their life in a club in Miami?
Absolutely not. But
they fly to Miami to meet this guy, and you're saying they can't meet him here?
The probability is highly
Not likely.
unsuccessful. Exactly.
But that means that they're probably not looking for love either, because you don't go
Exactly.
hunting, in the desert.
Exactly. So, with that being said, I think sometimes people can have too much of a history to have a future with certain people, and everybody isn't qualified to go. And you don't have to cut them off. You don't. They'll cut themselves off. Where you going? To the gym? You're not going to the club this week? Nah, I got a Pilates class in the morning. And they'll slowly start to weed themselves out of their life, and you'll slowly start to find the people who are on your level. And that's the kind of people you rock with. You don't. I mean, you don't have to cut themselves off. Those people will cut themselves off. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll start to say, I'm gonna tell you something. This how you know you with the wrong crowd. The women that I train, they'll lose weight, and then the girls around them will say, "Oh, you getting too small?" I say, "Yeah, too small compared to everybody that's 300 pounds. Yeah, you 180 too. Yeah, but no fit girl is gonna tell you that. A fit girl is gonna tell you, hey, you're almost there. You're almost there. You're doing good. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? And that's with that's with anything. The people that are actively doing what you're doing are gonna applaud that and say, hey, keep pushing. Hey, what you doing? I'm reading right now. Hey, well, here's another book I think you should read. Hit me back whenever you got time. A person that's not into that, or why you reading all the time, you don't have fun. This is fun. I'm succeeding. This isn't fun to you. That's fun to you. Waking up with a hang, but that's what it is.
Yeah. The girls that have come on the podcast that are all fit say that their biggest support always comes from other random girls that are fit that they don't even know.
Because they can, from the outside looking in, they know what it takes to get there. Because you can't fake a body. You can't fake a body. You can fake a lot of stuff, but you can't fake a body. You still have to put the work in. You can fake being rich. You can fake having a car. You can fake doing a lot of stuff. You can fake being happy, but you can't fake being fit. You know what I'm saying? And when people see fit people, I see a guy like the debate that go on now. People saying, or if you ain't 200 pounds and a plus, and you victim weight. And then the guys that are smaller, they say that, and by the record, I'm under 200 pounds, but I like hearing both sides, because it's impressive to me to see a guy but let me say this, that's over 200 pounds and ripped. Not those 200-pound oxtails where you got a triple-digit body fat percentage. You 200 pounds and you pre-diabetic, bro. You stay out of that conversation. But the 200-pound guys that are shredded, that's impressive to me. I'm like, damn, bro, you're disciplined on your food, your workout, everything. And then even the leaner guys that are my size, that are smaller, and you're lean and shredded, that's impressive. So I like to hear those guys go back and forth, because both of those spectrums are impressive. I just hate when the overweight 200 guys interject. Yeah, she like a big dog, bro. Like you're not that guy, bro. Like, you're triple digit body fat. Your doctor's looking for you right now. You know what I'm saying? Not those chicks. You know what I'm saying? But I like to see that. So when you see those things from the outside perspective, it's impressive. You know what I'm saying? I see another fit guy, I'm never jealous of another guy. I'll be like, man, hey, this guy look good, man. Like, yeah, and no homo, but like, bro, like, you're fit as fuck, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what it take, regardless if they're 150 or 240. You know what it take to get there, and it take years to get there. And so you like, man, yeah, I see you, bro. Same thing with women. I see in shape women. I'm like, man, like, she putting in work. You know what I'm saying? Not a woman who you could tell that doesn't work out, but man, has the aesthetic. But a woman who like really fit and lean, you like, man, yeah, she did that.
It's not easy.
Hell no, it's not easy, because it's a daily effort. It's a daily effort. It's a conscious effort you have to put in. What do you eat? How do you place and prioritize your fitness schedule? All that.
Yeah.
So
you create a schedule, you educate yourself, you have passion. How do you monetize that?
Well, the thing about it is once you're doing it because you love it, it's organic. Then I don't have to fake it. I only want people around me that I vibe with. You see what I'm saying? I pay my own bills. I pay my own bills at the gym. You come work out with me is because I connect with you somehow. I'm not trying to get you there because I need you to help me pay that. You see what I'm saying? Because once you start doing that, you start kind of compromising. You kind of like, oh, I can't be me. No, when you go in that gym, you already know I'm Beezo.
Yeah.
You already know what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? You come in there with the food, man, get out, man, today. And vice versa, because I love it there too. I want to feel comfortable there too. I don't want to go into a place where I can't be me at the place I love the most, because with anybody there or with nobody there, I will be there working out, doing something I love to do.
And how has Instagram helped you with your growth?
It has, because you interact with people who, like I said, the outside support is unreal. The people that you've never met, the people that you've just only met through social media will support you more than your people around you. You know what I'm saying? So and that help has been very valuable.
Yeah, you grew your TikTok super fast.
Yeah.
What do you think what did you do there? What was the trick to that?
It was nothing. I did one video and one video went viral. And it was just a video, just me doing a push up, like a little plyometric push up at a park, and it went viral, and it was up from there. So, but just one video, just posting, just doing stuff that I love to do.
Doing stuff that you love to do. That's the key.
That's it.
So all your posts you're passionate about, these are things that you do, and they're not all just educational. You have some posts where you're driving around in the whip, on the motorcycle.
Yep. Because that, you have to show your lifestyle too. You have to show that, outside of that, this is my recreation, and your recreation doesn't always have to consist of like this in a damn club. Your recreation could be, because I love fishing.
Yeah.
Your recreation could just be, I don't want to join a motorcycle clique. I want to go and make a few loops around my block and then turn back around. I'm not, so that your recreation could be what you want, but when you want it to be, and it has to fall in place with your fitness routine, because people think I just work out all day.
Yeah.
So
people think you got to be a slave to fitness.
Yeah, you don't.
That's not true.
That's not true. People, and even with people with hours, people don't realize that I work out only 30 minutes every day. 30, 35 minutes every day, though. I don't miss a day. And, I just change the intensities based on whatever I did that day prior. But I work out every day.
And what is your theory on recovery right now?
So a lot of times people say, oh, you need a rest day. Bruh, half these people not even working out hard enough. You feel sore and you feel tired because you're so out of shape. You see what I'm saying? You haven't reached the plateau. You just got consistent with, I'm gonna do 10 sets of 10 and I'm doing this. No, the better shape you are, the more you have to push to get more results. So those 20 push-ups aren't gonna do nothing for a person who consistently been doing 20 push-ups for the past 20 years. You got guys that knock out clips of 50 and 75, good range of motion, good, but that's what it takes to keep gaining the results. Their body has built up a tolerance and they have to keep going. Because at one time 20 was good, but with that being said, as far as recovery, most people never, and they take this to, I know my body, I know I'm sore and stuff like that. You're sore because you're out of shape. You're not
fight through it.
Yeah, you have to. Okay, the soreness is because of lactic acid buildup. So your body produces something called ATP. The lactic acid from that produces it touches the nerves in your body. So it's the soreness. It's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. That's why you feel it the next day or the day after. And with that being said, when you feel that soreness, are you like, oh, I'm sore and stuff like that? Every time you push past a new threshold, your lactic acid tolerance builds. And the more your lactic acid tolerance builds, the more you'll be able to do, and that's where pushing yourself comes in at. That's where getting around people who doing more than you comes in at. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, say, for example, if I go heavy leg Sunday, I'm gonna do legs again Monday, but it's gonna be in a circuit, and I might do 8 stations 7 times. I might do 7 rounds, but that one leg station may just be in and out, or jump squats or sumo squats. You see what I'm saying? So I'm doing legs every day, and then the next day as well. So that following or the next Wednesday, I might do heavy legs again, or I might do heavy chest. You know what I'm saying? So I just change the intensity based on how much I apply pressure to a specific body part that the day before. But every day I'm touching my body, in all those areas and all those large muscle groups.
Beezo, we got like 5 minutes left. What do you want to tell the people?
First of all, stay consistent. Get from around people who don't work out, because they're going to always take your life down, or you're going to be a slave to their inability. Read, educate yourself, because then educating yourself, you'll be able to decipher what's BS or not. As soon as you hear it, like me, as soon as I hear something on the internet, I'll be like, oh my goodness, this guy here. You know what I'm saying? Educate yourself, and not just educate yourself in fitness, educate yourself in everything that pertains to you. Your local government, even though you may not believe in it, you need to understand how those things affect you. And get in the right, and you don't need support. Every time people always crying about support, you don't need support. You start doing the right thing, the right people will start supporting you.
Rarely do we have anybody on that knows me as well as you do. Yeah. You met me in one of my lowest parts of my life. What was your mental thought on how I came in at that point in my life when I was at my lowest?
You was ready. You was ready. A lot of times people ready for change. I'm not the trainer to call people, hey, where you at? You need to get here. No, 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 no. I'm everything you want that you need me to be once you get there. Because the minute I stop giving you that motivation, you're not gonna come and all my time will be wasted, and we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be what you need to be. You was ready. You was ready, and that's the only type of people I like to train. I don't recruit people. I'm not actively seeking people. I don't do none of that. When you reach out to me and I give you the schedule, and I'm only giving you the schedule once and the time once. You do it again, I'm never going to respond to you no more. So when you're ready, I know you're ready,
I'll
and
tell
you
you
was
guys a
ready.
funny story. Like the first day I met Beezo, I had never done a fitness class before in my life. I had been in the gym business for years. Since I was like 18, I think I started working at the gym, and I had never seen a class. So when I met Beezo the first day, it was for a leg day. They called it leg day. It was a class. It was at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. And I remember when my friends introduced me to Beezo, they were like, hey, don't start the training today because it's leg day and you're gonna die. And I was like, what do you mean it's leg day? I'm gonna die. There's no weights, there's no nothing. How can I die? I've been training with weights my whole life. This is impossible. I got this. So I made the mistake and I stumbled into the class. I was there like 10 minutes early. And this class looked like the movie 300. Everybody was jacked, and it was a spectrum from like the least jacked person in the back of the class to the most jacked person all the way. All the gorillas were in the front, and Beezel was at the very head of the class with his shirt off, jogging pants, just standing there. And I'm like, I'm gonna stand right next to fucking Beezel. This guy's gotta know who I am, you know what I mean? So I made my way to the front because at this I didn't even know that people lined up, in this kind of fashion where the most shape is like the closest to Beezel. So I was like, that's why I gotta go. So I went right up to the front. I stood next to Beezel. I remember he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you ready for this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got this." And Beezel was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna start with like 500 squats." In my head, I go, 500 squats? It can't be too hard because we got no weights here. So he said, all right, we're gonna start going down in a sumo position slowly, 5 seconds on the way down, 5 seconds on the way up. So it's 10-second rep, slowly going down, slowly going up. I'm still thinking in my head, this is like, what is this shit we're doing? It's nothing. I swear, 3 minutes into this thing, I was drenched from head to toe, like just soaked completely. And in my mind, I'm saying, we got 57 more minutes of this shit. Holy fuck. And we just kept going and going. And my mentality about fitness changed immediately because I saw the world in a whole new way. And I felt it was because I was open to the change, to trying something new. The credentials and the reputation followed, so I knew to trust in this man. If I went to go work for Jeff Bezos, I'm not gonna question what Jeff Bezos is telling me to do at the office. Like, yo, Jeff, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I just got here. I know no. So I said, whatever this man tells me to do, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I could focus on other things in my life that I wanted to focus on, and I knew that my fitness, my nutrition were all in the right hands. And I swear we saw results within the first 6 weeks, but it was because I did the discipline. I followed the program, the routine.
And the diet.
I started learning because you educated me, and I started taking the information that you gave me. So I got the cheat code. I didn't got to read all those books. And then I became passionate about what we were doing. And then that's what led me to Bip Bip Nutrition with Beezo and believing in the product because we know how important the caffeine is to the workout, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So we were like, yeah, we got to do this. We're gonna get a coffee going, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The original thing was a coffee. And then that just became a huge problem because where are you going to store 2 tons of coffee? So we're like, all right, let's make a product that has everything that you need, and it's all organic. What other ingredients do we have in that in the pre-workout that's separated from the rest?
The ephedrine and the L-arginine, those are 2 big things that people they understand what they are, but they don't really understand the effect that they have on the body. And those 2 things balance out the caffeine. And sometimes people say, well, sometimes I feel the jitters and stuff like that. This is the thing that separates our product from a lot of products. Even your favorite soft drinks, the biggest ones you can think of, they use a synthetic caffeine. We use a natural caffeine. That's why it was no issue with us getting FDA approved. FDA was like, all right, we see what you got and we see what you're using. Absolutely. Some of your favorite supplements, aren't even FDA approved, and we were FDA approved. As soon as we submitted it was like this because I knew exactly what I wanted in it, and I knew what would actually work. So the FDA had no issues with it. Listen when I tell you, some of your favorite supplements can't even get FDA approved.
FDA approved is the gold standard. So get with Bib Nutrition, follow the page, follow Beezo, get informed, learn, do your own research. Don't take his word for it. Follow through with your own research. Make sure you're researching the people that are telling you things right now. Go back and see what you're doing, because if you maybe think you're doing something right, you may be thinking that you're eating something right. You may think that the way you're eating is the way that everybody does it. And if you take a little time and you learn, you're going to realize you're wasting your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The nutrition can throw it off, right? Just the
absolutely,
diet.
absolutely. Like even that goes back to the protein things. People, you need this amount of protein. People aren't even doing that much damage to consume that much protein.
Because protein has calories.
Yeah, exactly. And even though protein isn't like eating potato chips or anything like that, protein still has calories.
Trust this man. Trust what he tells you. Do your own research. Learn. Trainers, educate yourself. Don't just stop at the education when you get the certification. Keep learning. Keep adjusting with the times, because things change. Absolutely. And you can learn.